Welcome to Reading the Green and our golf DFS show. My name is Mike. Kyle and Jordan on Tuesday, July 11th. Guys, we're big time now. Better bring it. Kyle said it right away.
Shout out to K-Fan.
K-Fan PA. Chad Abbott, thanks for putting us on. 10K Bets, thanks for leading the way. It was cool. Got to hear you on the radio. I should have sat in the car. That's what I should have done. I streamed it.
I streamed it too in my headphones, and it just felt like I was listening to a normal podcast.
Yeah. But that's all right. I told my daughter, why this was important, and she's 5, and so I'm trying to explain what it meant. And she told me that she would like to start a podcast now, and it's going to be about jokes. So,
she might have some of the best jokes.
She might get more listeners than we have.
Well, Jordan. That's a great segue because I hope we have some new listeners. Yeah, go ahead.
K-Fan, for those of you that didn't listen to it, is the local, probably the number one radio station in the Twin Cities, local sports talk radio all the time. But
national presence, they have a pretty strong brand. Jordan found us a little promo.
Yeah, I was in the car listening to the radio for the first time in forever, and I was like, Mike, submit our podcast. Submitted it. They picked us. They liked us. They even sent an over the top compliment in the email that was totally unnecessary. Chad, but we'll take it. We're all a first name basis, right?
Chad, of course. I don't know. We'll see. He said wait a couple weeks. We'll see what the engagement's like. So first of all, thank you to the listeners out there that did tune in, and I don't know. We'll see what happens. So, but that being said, for those that are new to the show, we thought it might be helpful just to orient a little bit because this is the DFS preview show. We're going to banter a little bit. We're going to talk professional golf. We're going to talk other stuff. We will get to hardcore plays in the second half of the show every week, but we do it a little differently, right? So most casual DFS players out there, guys that just want a little bit and gals that want a little bit of action week to week, they're going to play DFS. You take in a lot of content, and which is great. There's a lot of great content out there. There's a lot of really terrible content out there. And we set out this goal a couple of years ago to try to figure out where the best stuff was. And so it's pretty simple. We read a few dozen in podcast. We read and listen to a few dozen sources of DFS plays every week. And we do some math on top of who picks what. And it's pretty simple. We'll tell you where the consensus plays are, what percentage of DFS experts are mentioning which player every week. We call that our share percentage or our mention share. And then we do some other math to kind of figure out which plays are stronger than others. We call that our power index. It's 2 plays. We'll tweet it out every week. We'll give you the list of the consensus plays and the power index plays. And that's how we'll kind of ground everything in our show every week. So just a little bit of RTG vernacular. Thanks for joining us, and I hope you have fun. Guys, any comments? Anything you'd like to share with the new listeners?
No, I think you covered it and hit the high points there, Mike, and we thank you for joining in and being along for the ride.
Yeah, and don't expect too much.
No, don't expect too much. Mostly penis jokes from Jordan.
I didn't have golf tonight, so this is only my second beer.
All right. So Kyle, you said you prepared. I mean, obviously, big PGA Live PIF day, which we don't do too much breakdown of that stuff. There's real podcasts out there for that, right?
Correct. Go find No Laying Up. Listen to those guys. Somebody else out there. But first off, this is the 3rd pod day we've had hijacked by PGA Live news. Lay off Tuesdays. This is what we do on Tuesdays. But if you didn't catch it today, there was the big hearing. There were some takes out of the hearing, but yeah, more hardcore stuff. But there was also a big document drop as part of the hearing process. And there was a lot of craziness in there, a lot of back and forth. But I highlighted what I thought was the 3 most outlandish acts that came from it. And they all came from the PIF side, believe it or not. So first off, you guys did say this earlier, but one of the asks was that Tiger and Rory would get to own a live team, each own a live team, and play live next year. Did you see the number of events they thought Tiger Woods would be able to play? 10. They wanted Tiger to play in 10 live events.
10 live events.
Yeah. Not just play 10 events, 10 live events.
Was this like this was like a term, like in order for this to work, they need to own teams and participate, or like, hey, we'll give them the opportunity?
I think it was trying
part of
to compensate them. That's how I viewed it. Was like them paying them off by giving them these teams to own.
Yeah, because they're worth so much. But it was part of the best of both worlds proposal from the PIF to PGA Tour. The lawyers out there, and I know there's some in our lives here, might enjoy. You can find the back and forth with redacted documents on on the negotiation process. So that was fun.
that's not one of the outlandish takes, or that is?
That is.
Okay.
Yeah. Tiger, I mean, the
Tiger playing 10 events.
Tiger playing 10 events.
Yeah. Hasn't played 10 events in 10 years.
Yeah. So clearly they understand what's going on.
Maybe they'll let him take a cart. They'll let him take a cart.
It is Saudi
Arabia. A cart.
It is Saudi Arabia, so maybe an event can be a woman also, because Tiger's played 10 women a year.
And Jordan, everyone. Outlandish ask number 2. As part of the negotiations, Yasser, so His Excellency, if you will, requested a membership at Augusta.
Oh my God!
Like, first of all, the PGA Tour can just donate him a membership to Augusta.
Does he? Does he refer to himself as His Excellency?
In some of the paperwork, it referred to him as Your Excellency. Yes.
Wow. Okay. Sorry to step on your call there, though. So membership at Augusta, that is or is not within the PGA's control?
That was struck from the agreement. I can't even fathom why. Struck from the agreement.
Hey, but you know what? Come on. You guys are in business development. You sometimes just ask for things to see what happens. The worst they're going to say is no.
I agree. So after that got struck, he didn't give up Augusta completely. He came back and asked if he could rent Augusta for a private event as part of the negotiation with the PGA Tour.
So, like, totally clueless. Isn't he? Aren't they developing like a course next to Augusta?
I don't know. I think that was a rumor. I don't know if that was true.
I thought it was real.
Okay. How about number 3, Kyle?
Well, that was number 3. It was a build off of number 2.
Oh, okay. Well, that, I mean, I don't know. This is gonna get real ugly, and yet we're still gonna have golf tournaments. And I guess that's probably the best thing that can happen, is that we just still get normal golf tournaments while all this craziness goes on.
Agreed. Let it play out. No, it's way too soon. Don't know. It still doesn't. They still just struck parts of the negotiation from the agreement and basically punted and said we'll figure that out later. So a lot of the speculation is just too early. So let's enjoy the golf we have.
Yeah, that's been the theme of the whole thing. Not off topic agenda item. Jordan, any updates from the Minnesota State Open for our Minnesota listeners here? Kyle and I chatted a little bit about it last week. You weren't here, and I was mentioning that we got to play the State Open tees, and it was fun to have a little taste of that. But what's going on at the State Open hosted at your club this week?
I think the numbers are probably about where they wanted them to be. There's 2 leaders right now at -7. One guy eagled both of the par 5s today. But I was looking at some of the stats. They halfway through, like the first wave went through of the day, and there were 5 eagles on one of the par 3s or one of the par 5s. And yesterday there was I think 1. So they must have moved the tees up considerably, because it wasn't windy really either day to where it would be that crazy. But something changed. The other interesting tidbit: 3 of the 4 hardest holes, Mike, no surprise to you after playing these, were the par 3s.
I was telling Kyle about that when we played. It's like it was 3 par 3s over 220 or whatever, and I hit 2 iron on all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, tough holes. Do they play, and they're playing 3 back, I assume, where it's playing 270 or something.
Yeah. Yep.
Crazy.
So it was, I think that one was at 3, actually 11 was the harder one. Which is, I mean, it's 225 or so, but I think it was 3.62 was the stroke average yesterday as the hardest hole. But just if you have to hit it that far, you're going to make some big numbers.
I did check it out this morning too, because you had sent the link yesterday. I'm not going to say the guy's name because we're talking about AMs here, right? But the Mike guy
that say his name.
You highlighted, Mike, the guy that was 6 under through 14 holes.
Ian Simonich, yeah.
Yeah, he finished +2 after that, and it was just even today. So he got out there early and then fell back a little bit.
Yeah, he was. I played with him in the Pine of Palm a couple years ago. Nice kid. The kid that's winning, I think, played for the Gophers, John Dutois, and then Caleb Van Aragorn has been. Him and his sister have been kind of a junior force for a while.
Yeah, well, that's that guy. Birdied 16, 17, 18, and won. Like, so he started on the back nine. So 4 birdies in a row. 17, 18 are top 5 hardest holes on the course, and 1 is not super easy. And just tore it up, and then couldn't sustain it.
Yeah. Last point, Kyle. You have to ask your brother if he knows Muzzy Donahue. Shot 63 today. Pretty good score for the State Open. So
I'll ask about Muzzy.
Oh, so Mike, I just looked. It was hole 3 was the hardest today at 3. The scoring average was 3.71. 5 birdies, 66 bogeys, 19 double bogeys, and 4 higher than double bogey.
That's kind of interesting for that hole, because if you just play it as a par 4, essentially, they got a big fairway and then try to get up and down. Like,
yeah,
they must have had the pin all the way back or something. But cool. I don't know. It'd be cool to see the finish. I don't know if you're going to go out there at all, but just it's fun to see what the. I know you think I tore it up at your club last week, but those guys are actually good at golf.
Yeah, they're playing slightly different conditions. I don't think they mowed the rough after we talked or much. Yeah. Everyone that played this weekend said you'd lose a ball. If you hit it into the rough, you would lose your ball.
It was like when we played Torrey. It was like the famous RTG Torrey trip where the local rule was spend 1 minute looking in the rough and then drop.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk a little PGA Tour golf, but first, I got double false pattern tonight.
Very nice.
I just always get a kick. It's double dry hopped New England, double pale ale. So
not a double IPA, but a double pale ale.
Yeah, it is just a very interesting beer. I think it's solid. I like when it comes out.
What's the ABV on that bad boy?
I was just checking. I think the normal false pattern is 5. This is 7.5. So it's a double pale ale that comes in at 7.5, but normally false pattern is like 5 something.
Right at Jordan's limit these days.
Yeah.
That's what I'm drinking also, 7%. But I found this weekend, the local Dream Universe.
Yep.
The collab with Modist, Blackstack, and Fair State. And it's delicious as always.
Yeah, when they make that, I always envision that they just pour the beers together and then can it. Like I know they say they kind of put the recipes together, but I just imagine them pouring them together.
We should try that. Let's make our own local Dream Universe. Next time we're together. Oh, burp. We'll just pour a little bit of each in equally, and we'll try it. And I'll bring one of these, and we'll compare.
Okay. I like it. I like the idea. Let's try it. Let's give it a shot.
We can make our own collabs all over the place.
I went a little off grid, local Minneapolis brewery, but who I don't know. I'm sucker for marketing apparently, and rebranded a little bit. But I figured I'd give them a chance. Fulton, who has one of the OG cool tap rooms in the cities, but they redid all their beers and all their cans under this Hop Kingdom series. Juicy IPA has a fox on it. It's decent.
It's a sharp looking can.
Sharp looking can like that. Great place to go pre-Twins game. So, and
they get you like that forever. Insight Brewing did that. They've relabeled like 3 times, and every time they do, I'm like, "Ooh, this looks interesting." And then I remember that I don't really like a lot of their beers, and so I don't buy them. But interesting, Kyle. All right, John Deere Classic this was kind of fun. This was interesting. We knew it was going to be a birdie fest. The golf course is, I don't know, not much interesting going on there. Pretty forgettable. But Sepp Straka, it was kind of fun, Kyle, going back and forth and being like, no, he's not. No, not again. No. And until he got to he missed that putt on 16, maybe. He had like a 25, 30 footer that like we both were like, I can't believe that didn't go in. That was the first time I was like, oh, wait, he's human.
But then he still had the par 5 coming up on 17. And if he birdied that, he was on pace for a 59. And then
you were thinking, I was thinking deeper than 59 for a while. I mean, I even called, I said 59 watch when he was 6 holes in. And, but yeah, it was cool. It made Sunday worth paying attention to.
Well, then he decided just to rinse one on 18 and open the door for everyone else chasing. So it was a great performance by old Sepp, especially if you bet him.
Right. Yeah, I know there was I know guys like Linda Q were pretty hot. I know he had his big bit was on Sepp at the beginning of the week. So good for him. Yeah, good for Sepp backers. Question for you, does Cameron Young still suck, or is he good now?
I'm not on him. I've heard him getting a little bit of steam for next week already. And nah, I need to see more.
Jordan, John Deere Classic, you anything on your mind?
They can make good tractors.
They do. I do.
The last thing I had, Mike, Alex Smalley kind of broke my heart. After Sepp rinsed that one, double bogey at 18. Smalley and Todd were 2 back at that point, and the Todd actually got to 1 and had a 6-footer to tie, and neither of them could close. They both parred 17, which was playing very easy on the day. Alex Smalley led tee to green. He gained 11.5 strokes, gained in putting, but couldn't get there for my bet. Sepp gained 6.78 strokes putting on the week. So that's really, like we said, you just need to find somebody to have the putters then. But the last thing I'll say is you called this out too. Ludwig, great performance. 2nd in DK scoring. The week everyone kind of went away from him because he was 10-1. That's great to see.
Yeah, it was a bummer because I think I said on the show, ain't no way I'm paying 5 digits for Ludwig. And then I texted you and said, God, it sucks to have been a week early on Ludwig at the Rocket Mortgage. And you said, no, he's got to finish top 5 for it to have been worth it. And then he does. And I have some thoughts on Ludwig for the Scottish here. So I'll save that for when we get to the preview. But I'm happy that John Deere is over. I'm happy we're to the Scottish. The Scottish the last few years has become a little more interesting because of its becoming a PGA Tour event now. We get the Scottish, the British, we got it. Obviously we get our hometown, the whatever you want to call the hometown open, the 3M. So we just get some good golf, and then we get into the FedEx Cup playoffs. So we're kind of behind some of these birdie fests. 3M will be a birdie fest, but we put some of these birdie fests behind us, and we can watch some of the best players duke it out. Really quick RTG housekeeping, just some of the notes from our contests and our model. The Listener League, we had D Moss finishing in 1st, AJ Bentley in 2nd, and Ness 0163 in 3rd. None of us here challenged. Jordan.
That's why I'm just pretending like this tournament didn't happen.
Yeah. Okay.
I said every week I'd set up the league, and then I was like with the 4th of July, and then I always fill out my first line. I put a lineup together on the pod.
Yep.
I tell you guys who I'm picking as I'm picking them, and it didn't happen last week, and I just fell asleep.
Derp. Yeah, no sweat. Good bounce back week for the model. I think we had a nice made cut percentage in our sort of like core group at 25% mention share and above. 80% specifically made the cut. The problem was the guy that burned us was the guy near the top, Callum Tarrant. And Kyle, you said you had a bad feeling about playing a lot of him just given his price. Felt like a trap. Usually when we see those guys in the 6Ks or the 7Ks near the top of the model, it's always a little iffy. And rest assured, I tried to keep you calm, but no, you were right.
Yeah, and the hesitation there was I was on him the week before. He was great, tee to green and couldn't putt. That's what everyone saw. It just, yeah. When there's so much consensus around a low dollar play like that, I'm never going to go away from it because of the model, but always, a little cautious.
Yeah, it's always tough. I think he did clock in at 20-some% ownership, I think, and so it's just tough when everybody's on a guy at 7,300. Like, it's pretty easy to differentiate your lineup by just not playing the 22% owned guy at 7,300.
Who's volatile. It's not like
volatile.
It's not like he had 6 straight top 20s,
Right.
Yeah.
Great point. And maybe that's something that we need to do a better job of, is thinking a little bit about that, that sort of like win equity when those guys start to pop in our model. But anyway, so Sepp Straka wins, 21st ranked in our model. Not a lot of love on Sepp, but he certainly was incredible on Sunday. Gutsiest play was Cameron Young. Nobody was really on Cameron Young outside of Spencer Aguiar and Rotoballer in our model. So props to Spencer for hanging with Cameron Young. Top article was Pat Mayo. We talked about pre-pod. Pat Mayo has just been going to one DFS preview and a strokes gained article, and he picked Adam Schenk this week, which was a good play. So I and with landmines, we had Callum Tarrant. Also Griot. I wasn't on Griot all that much. So that one didn't really burn me like I think it did a bunch of folks on Twitter. But right, so let's move into one and done. Jordan, I've lost total track of one and done. Total track.
All right. Well, when you're that far down the list, it's tough to see the top of the leaderboard, Mike.
It's tough to see the bottom of the leader. Yeah. Well.
We had one winner. Newberg last week picked Sepp Straka. And it was only 1.3 million, so it's like getting 5th place in a big tournament. But he got lucky with 4th place was the next highest at 300,000, so he got $1 million more than anyone else last week. So yeah, a few Adam Schenk picks, and then a whole bunch of Denny McCarthy racking up that $200,000, including myself. But for the year to date, we got two guys out in front that are up by 2 million plus. Derek Howard and Champles, and then we've got one at 15, Jacob King, and then a bunch from 13 down to 10. And then you get your first RTG member at 13th place, who is not Kyle. That's me, $9 million.
You're not out of it.
And then down at the bottom, I've also used most of the good golfers, and I don't know, there aren't many elevated events left.
None of us are out of it. I am 7 million back from the money here, and
you're out of it.
I hit 2 lower events, hit the 2 playoff events with a guy no one else has, and the Open. Boom, I'm right there.
I'd love to see it.
And with no one else hitting those same things.
Yeah, that's why I got to get different. It's time to get a little different, boys.
Yeah.
But no, it's interesting. And so you guys know I've been doing the test pool pick so far also. That is up to 7.7 million. You would be in 18th, 19th place if you had just picked the highest ranked golfer every time. You also have very few people left to play. Yeah, even though this week's pick of the top person left is Ricky Fowler.
Wow.
Because he's made a big jump. So now he is, you wouldn't have picked him at this if you wouldn't have him left if he had been ranked this high all year.
Good little teaser there.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's do it. Let's talk about the Scottish Open. So the Scottish Open, like I said, Kyle, I'm not sure the exact history here, but this has become a PGA Tour event last couple of years. Is it that recently?
It's a co-sanctioned event. This is the second year of being a co-sanctioned
This is the second year. Oh, okay. Yeah. Perfect. Well, that's why we get a bunch of the big name guys going over there. They're getting their FedEx Cup points. They get a little bit of acclimation to being in the UK prior to the British Open. So it was fun to watch last year. We saw some names pop up, guys like Tom Kim that were fighting near the top. Schauffele ends up winning last year. But this is at the Tom Doak Design, the Renaissance Club in North Berwick, Scotland.
I'm glad you got it Pretty close to right. As our pronunciation expert, I thought I would help you, Mike. You need a little more horse in there. Renaissance Club.
Like the guys that introduced Ricky Fowler at the first tee of the British Open. Yeah.
You got to make sure you get the nay in the middle.
Do not call it the Renaissance Club. It is the Renaissance Club.
Yeah.
Last year, Xander Schauffele wins. People really hate on this course, but I think it's because a lot of it is not classic Scotland golf.
It's new. It's only like 12 years old.
Right. Yeah. I think like 2007, something like that. Yeah. So people hate on it because it just doesn't sort of capture that, 400, 500-year-old Scotland feel. Remind me, there's another club in North Berwick. Is it like the North Berwick Club or something like that all these guys try to go out and play? Like last year, Homa was playing like an extra 18 on Thursday night or something.
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah, that's awesome.
Do you remember that? These guys are like slipping in an extra 18. I think that stuff's super fun. But so anyways, it seems like a fun week. I know guys are having fun. A bunch of the guys are out at Wimbledon already this past weekend. So hopefully it's easing us into a really fun 2 weeks of golf. So Kyle, have you done any prep on the Renaissance Club this week?
I have. So this is our 4th year here, and what you're looking for is going to vary greatly on weather. And I'm normally not one to advocate heavily stacking one way or the other, unless you're really playing, high stakes GPP with large format fields. But I will be checking back in tomorrow, especially because it tees off at 1:55 Central Time AM. So you'll be looking pretty close. So hopefully you can get a decent forecast at that point in time, because if it is going to be windy, give me all the scrambling, give me the around the green play. That's what we saw last year when Xander won at 7 under. If it's going to be somewhat tame, and right now it kind of looks like mild winds and maybe a little wet and soft, I think you're going to look more long iron players. More putting is going to come into play then as well. And generally, though, overall distance is going to play here. It's not 100% true link styles, as Mike said, but you can bomb it. You're not going to get in trouble unless you get way offline.
Kyle, I feel like you could make a living for yourself as a DFS weatherman, but then you never like to actually follow the weather. Kyle, Jordan, did I tell you about how Kyle saved my family from a thunderstorm while he was out of town? I'm texting him for weather updates, and he's coming back with predictions from his super technical apps that he has, and he was down to the minute when rain was going to fall. It was impressive. I just don't know why he doesn't apply this to DFS.
Good question, Kyle. Can you put a little more effort in, please? I need you to raise yourself up to my level of DFS at least. Come on.
That's a fair request. I would feel comfortable doing so if I had the time to get on Thursday morning before a tournament starts to do that research. When it comes to Tuesday night, I'm not gonna forecast that far out.
Yeah, you're pretty good when your weather window is in you got a 20-minute window that you can make a call.
I'm the short-term models. I'm the short-term model guy.
Is it raining? Is it not raining? Yeah. Okay. Anyways, well, let me throw out a few names. Well, actually, Kyle, give us the model. Give us the intro to the model this week, and then maybe I'll throw out a few names that I'm just caught my attention.
All right, I'll highlight the 4 that are over 25% at this point. I will say it's just a general observation is there's a wide range of people getting love. So there's not a ton of consensus so far, which is a little bit unique. I feel like lately we've had a couple of guys really get steamed, but leading the way so far, we have 2 guys at 35%, Ricky Fowler at 9,500, as Jordan pointed out. From a really shot to the top of the rankings lately and been playing well, obviously coming off the win, so not a surprise there. Our MPI doesn't love him so far. But the guy the MPI does like is none other than Scotty Scheffler at 11.6, also at 35% mention share. I don't think that's going to surprise anyone. So why not? Scotty's been playing so dang well. And then we have 2 guys at 30%, Tommy Fleetwood and Mr. Hatton, 94 and 96 on salary perspective. And I don't think, again, that's going to be a huge surprise. Just people going to guys that are familiar with playing this kind of course. And really liking the form that both of them have been on.
Well, if I have to start, the first guy I'm going to look at is the guy that's garnering the highest power index score right now, Patrick Cantlay, who I think you could argue has had a fairly unremarkable season. Hasn't won since the BMW Championship last year. Hasn't really done much of anything that I think we remember. But however, he has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 top 10s in his last 14 events, 15 events. So obviously he has incredible form right now. He's playing at a very high level off the tee, incredible numbers, approach, incredible numbers. Surprisingly shaky on a putter, a guy who has been, earned a living as Patty Ice, but I see him setting a pretty high floor this week, just given his form this year, and I think at 10-4, that's a pretty fair price. However, like Kyle, you said, it's really hard to go away from Scotty ever, but Cantlay's the guy I'd look at in the 10K plus range. The second name I wanted to throw out was we talked about Ludwig being a week early on Ludwig at the Rocket Mortgage, missing a chance to get him at John Deere when he finishes second. I would love to play him in this field. I think 8,200 is way too cheap. I wanted to see him at like 95 and scare a bunch of people away so that I could take the chance on Ludwig somehow competing and keeping this form in this field. But at 8,200, I got to imagine he's just going to be like, people are going to be so overweight on him, right?
Right. Does he have experience playing this type
it doesn't
of
matter. It doesn't, like, this guy. I mean, he's from Sweden. Of course he does. Like,
well, there's lots of link style courses in Sweden.
I like Ludwig this week. And granted, I think it is a question depending on what type of contest you're playing, but for cash game, single entry, GPP stuff, not as high stakes. I'm going to play him. You look at what he did last week. He gained 8 strokes tee to green. He gained with the putter. He's great off the tee. So if that's the type of, I think we're going to get tamer conditions this week. I don't think it's going to get too crazy on us. The distance, he has the putter. He's shown the ability to pop around the green with his chip ins the prior week. I like him, and he's one of my 3 plays.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I guess my point is $8,200 is a great price. I would expect, that 20% ownership range to just make sure that you're thinking about that when you're putting them in a lineup. But I think I think it's probably too cheap for a guy that's coming. It's certainly high 8Ks. I wouldn't have been surprised at. I just am joking. Wouldn't be surprised to see him at 9,500 this week.
But Mike, you're going completely against the model. All of our bad professionals are the ones recommending him right now. He's got an 8 MPI.
I know, because of his price, because he's showing up as a value play this week. And I don't think he's a value play. I think he should be treated like a stud the way that he's been playing the last 3-4 weeks. I'll throw out one more name, and you tell me if you're interested in this recent form. A guy that has finished in his last 7 events. Are you interested in a guy that's finished 4th, 8th, 9th, 6th, 29th, 4th, and 4th, and hasn't missed a cut since September 11th of 2022? Does that interest you, a guy with that kind of form?
I'll sign up.
Okay. Well, then you're signing up for Alexander Army of Me Bjork at $7,300 this week.
I should have asked which tour he was playing on.
I don't know, man. Kyle, I think this is where, like, the DFS pros will say, if you're not looking at multi-tour data on weeks like this, on co-sanctioned events, you could be missing something. And you got people that might be missing that. Alexander Bjork is on fire.
I appreciate that, because that's a perfect lead into my hot take of the week. And I'm not saying it's a full fade here, but I believe there's too much infatuation with Euro guys this week in general, especially since this is only the second time we've had the co-sanctioned event, and we have such a strong showing from PGA guys that are just great, that I think we're going to see lower ownership than on some of the PGA guys than we should, and inflated ownership on some of the Euro guys. I'm not saying that there's not going to be a handful of good plays. You're not saying that there's not going to be a couple that pop, but I think you can find some good value out there.
2 comments on Alexander Bjork. First of all, he has lost strokes in that 7-event stretch, lost strokes off the tee in every single one, including losing yards to the field off the tee in every single one, gaining over a stroke on approach in every single one. So I actually kind of just want, and then gaining almost 2 strokes putting. I kind of want to see this guy golf. It's really difficult to lose that many strokes off the tee and gain that many strokes on approach. Somehow, I mean, given where you're putting yourself in position, maybe they're playing, I mean, maybe this is the function of playing European golf courses where maybe there's a little more room and he's not just hitting out of the trees all the time. But this is a very interesting stat profile for this guy. Also, you guys must not be huge Bjork fans, me referencing Army of Me. So
yeah, no idea.
Shame on you.
No. And not gonna lie, you didn't sell me on there. I think that might be a fade. Not sure yet. But,
I just want to talk about it.
You're just going.
We'll see.
Who else do you have this week from Sweden, Mike? You've got the 2 Swedes here. What else you got?
I haven't gone that far, but you're giving me some ideas for a narrative lineup. So
how about Romain Langescu? He's Swedish,
good
isn't
pronunciation.
he?
I thought he was.
I said it, not Kyle. So
well, so under my hot take when I wrote that down, I did say so. ... Mike's gonna have an all Euro RTG lineup this week. So
for sure.
Yeah.
All right, Kyle. Anyone else you want to add?
Yeah. So I like I said, I'm going to be on Ludwig. I like Hatton this week as well. Brandon Cadulo's there. Pat James there. 9,600. He's 6 top 20s in his last 7. The other was a 27th at the U.S. Open. He's gained in putting. Gained putting 8 straight. He's gained off the tee in 8 straight. And like I said, I don't think it's going to be crazy from what I see so far wind wise. So I mean, if it does get a little crazy, obviously he's a little bit more familiar with it than some of the players. I will have some Scotty shares in those safer cash lineups. I know 11-6 is a lot to fit in, but outside of the putter, he's been so great. Plug and play. And then my bomb is Jordan L. Smith, T20 at the U.S. Open, T24 here last year. 7,200. I think you can do a lot worse at that price point.
You're taking my pick here. I was going Team Jordan this week with Jordan L. Smith and Jordan Spieth together.
I like it.
Team
Jordan.
I mean, if you get the wind blowing, Jordan Spieth is always a play in tough conditions.
That's what I say to my wife all the time.
I don't get that.
But is there another Jordan Smith? Why is he Jordan L. Smith?
I don't know.
Is he like Samuel L. Jackson? He just wants to be.
It's how the salaries come out every week. Jordan L. Smith. That's a great question. Yeah. Well, I think there's something there. We're gonna see. We're gonna find out a lot about Alexander Bjork. I think.
He'll be in my lineup just for you guys.
Kyle, final thoughts? You want to do tiers? You got something else on the model?
We can do tiers. I actually, one last thing to play. One guy I wouldn't mind going back to if you're looking for a little ownership break this week is Callum Tarrant, since we talked about it and how he burned everyone last week. Obviously, you're hoping he can putt a little bit better, but we know the off the tee game's there, and he's only $6,500. So don't mind the sprinkle. From a tiers perspective, and Jordan L. Smith, L stands for Lewis, just in case you were wondering.
No, Lewis. Lewis or Louis?
Lewis.
Oh, wow. Lewis. Okay.
Yeah. Things you can't learn anywhere else, folks. Right there. Tier 4 is interesting this week. We have Adam Scott, Justin Thomas down in tier 4. Can you believe it? Minwoo Lee, Sung Jae, Justin Rose, and Sam Burns. I would say those are mostly outside of maybe Min Woo, people we've seen in much higher tiers previously. The crazy thing is, out of those guys, just from a pure playing standpoint and course history standpoint, Min Woo is like, he finished T15 at the Betfred Masters, at Travelers T9, US Open T5, PGA T18. He has got good history here outside of being cut last year, but he's won it in the past as well. So I think he will get a lot of looks. Right now, the MPI likes Justin Thomas, but I'm going to be completely honest. I am not going to Justin Thomas. I'm not playing him. I've been burned trying to be early on that so far, and I'm not going to. Whatever. I'm going to be late if he comes back. But so far, I do like Adam Scott, and he has the biggest mention share at this point in time. He's also the lowest salary guy in that group, so I think some people use that as a tiebreaker. So I don't think a lot of people will go there, and I like Adam Scott this week.
Does Justin Thomas, if he misses the cut this week, he's $8,300? Is he in the 7Ks next week at the British?
Yeah, he's got to be, right?
Because it'll be a stronger field there too, right?
I'm just saying, that's crazy.
Yeah, crazy, I mean the back half of this field is pretty weak. So yeah.
Yep.
And if he misses the cut, is he coming to Minneapolis? He's got to.
I think at some point he's got to add some events. It depends if he wants to play the FedEx Cup Playoffs, which I think you should want to with a lot of money on the line. But you're right. We could see some names there. Like we talked about this last week, there are some names that are on the outside looking in that we might get some ads at the 3M if there are spots available. So let's go to the name game.
They'll make spots available if Justin Thomas wants to come.
Yeah. I understand. Let's go to the name game. And so we're doing a little catch up here because we had kind of 2 weeks of stats to update on, but the name game has tightened up a little bit. Jordan, you've been running dry for a few weeks. I've closed the gap to 1 point.
Please don't ever use that phrase again, because I won't be able to make it. I'm refraining from telling a joke right now. If you ever say that again, there will be inappropriate jokes that don't get us on KFan.
Sometimes I got to just tee them up to see what you're going to do. Here we go. Well, last week, I lost my cheat sheet, but last week, Kyle and I came up with funny animal names out of the field, and I ended up winning with the Gribble, which I think, Kyle, I don't remember what the Gribble was. Might have been like an anteater / turkey crossbreed, but
I don't remember.
Yeah, the Gribble ends up getting the W for me last week. So there we go. Jordan with 12. I have 11, Kyle with 8, and the listeners with 9. So we move into this week, which I designed the game, but I went back to just a classic. And Jordan, back me up on this. It's always fun when we make Kyle read names.
It's the best.
Oh boy! And I just looked at the list of names. Oh boy!
It's better when it's Asian names, but European names. He's going to be just as bad.
I think you're going to be happy with what I came up with. So for the new listeners, we run a little bit at the end of every show where we just come up with a contest to draft players among us and keep a team for the listeners, and sort of all total classic DK points wins a point for the week. So Kyle, there's 4 teams. Could you introduce the 4 teams for us?
I gave it a glance, but I don't want to practice in my mind, so I looked away. So you're getting the most natural.
Honestly, yeah. I don't know that I could do better than you, but thank you for being a good sport.
All right. Team 1 is Nikolai van Dellingshouse and Rasmus Haggard.
Kyle.
I say that different every week. It's better this way.
All right.
Team 2 is Tapio Kikkinen and Nikolai Haggard. Team 3 is Oki Styrodome and Jost Luton. Oh boy. And team 4 is Yosiop Sio and Adrian Otanju. I feel like I got better as I went.
Nope. You might be the most Iowan person I've ever met.
When you travel abroad, Kyle, is this what you do?
I don't talk. My wife handled international relations.
Thank God. Okay. All right. Well, I don't remember the exact order of picks, but I'm gonna start with Jordan. Jordan,
the listeners got last?
Okay.
Or where is this list of names? Because it's not in the name game tab in the spreadsheet.
No, it's not.
Here
we go.
Weird. Where would Jordan not be able to find it? Listen,
the agenda.
In the agenda here, I'll chat it to you. There you go. Chat it to you. You can see the names. But do you want the Von Dellingshausen and Højgaard team, the Pukanen and Højgaard team, Stridham and Luton team, and Seo and Otague team?
I like how you avoided some of those first names, Mike.
Yeah. Well, you're right.
You still made the last name sound
way better than that. Yeah.
Can you say?
Go ahead.
Say Dellinghausen again for me.
Nikolai von Dellingshausen.
Oh,
well, I got
Jordan's the only German. I got a little German descent here. That one should be.
Yes.
Yeah.
No. Very good.
I also have German.
Nikolai von Dellinghausen. Tapio. What are these names? Aki? Is that a hockey team?
I think Jordan got second last week, by the way, so he should not be going.
Yeah,
you're right. Kyle, give us the listeners. Give us the listeners pick. These guys all suck.
They get Seo and
Agwe, something like that.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Can you say, Jordan? What is that name?
Which one?
The last one.
Adrian
Seo and
yeah. Seo. Is he
okay?
Is he Asian or no? Because I just pronounced it like he was Asian.
What about the second name?
Adrian Otague. I liked Mike's pronounce. I don't think I could redo it, but
Otague.
Okay,
yeah.
All right.
And he is, and it's actually Seo Yoseyap is his name, not Yoseyap Seo.
I just take him out of the salaries.
All right, I'm taking tapioca pudding and Nikolai.
Weird. Tapioca pudding.
The name starts with a P. All right, Jordan.
I will also take Nikolai, but I'll take Rasmus with him.
All right. Good stuff, Kyle. Thank you. Good work. I had to mute my mic for a second there. Last thing, Kyle, are you going to bet on the Genesis Scottish Open?
Is that really a question? I have Matt Fitzpatrick at 22. He was 17th at the U.S. Open, only lost off the tee, which has not been an issue for him this year, so I look for him to rebound. He was T6 here last year, and since it's been at the Renaissance Club, he has the most strokes gained tee to green of anyone in the field. I have TRL Hatton, as we've talked about. And in case we just go Bombers crazy, I have Ryan Fox at 75-1. Guess what? I also have one bet in at the Barbasol Championship this week at Grayson Murray. I can't believe I did it, but he was 50-1 relative to anyone else that's been playing anything at all. So here we are.
I realized this was not a Barbie preview. But you probably find some fun numbers there. It's going to kind of be a free for all. So
I'm probably going to sprinkle at least one more.
It's always a free for all with Barbie.
Oh God, Jordan! Now you're just taking swings.
Who's going to the party? Who's going to watch the movie?
I don't go to movies. I don't go to.
I haven't been to the Barbie movie. I thought for sure your wife would love to see the Barbie movie.
No, wrong.
My wife actually mentioned it last night that she wouldn't mind seeing the Barbie movie when it came on commercial.
I mean,
so there you go.
All right. Enjoy the Scottish Open this week. Enjoy the links golf and all that. I think it'll be fun. It'll be nice to have stuff on a little bit earlier in the day. I can wake up and instead of watching early round coverage, you're going to watch mid and late round coverage on Saturday and Sunday morning. So that'll be kind of fun. You can find Reading the Green content on Wednesdays every week on our YouTube channel, Reading the Green, and of course on any major podcast platform. Follow us on Twitter all week at RTG Podcast DFS. We'll be back in a week to talk about the Scottish Open results and preview the Open Championship. See ya.